Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. We are 9 movies into the marathon. They're just in my eyes. They're bloodshot to hell. How many more have I got to do? It's 14 or something. Oh, God. Oh, this is fun. See some of the ideas. See, next time I have a bright idea like this, stop me. Anyway, we are talking about Don't Say Its Name. Donny, a trucker for WEC Coal, runs over and kills Kharis Redwater, an anti-mining activist, while Kharis walks alone at night on an Indigenous people's reservation. Tribal police officer Betty Stonechild consoles Kharis' mother, Mary Lynn, while investigating the case with Mountie and the Evan Shook. A series of events takes place that borders on the supernatural. Right. This is quite cool. So this is set in Canada, and it's dealing with the native tribal people and reservations, and it's dealing with a bit of. Are they classed in Canada? Are they still Native American? Is it the Americas? I don't want to get a tomahawk to the head, for saying the wrong thing. But tribal people, anyway, indigenous tribal people, they have reservations. It seems the same as the way Dumyankistan's set up. So yeah. So I don't know much about the inner workings. Not Cameron to be able to tell you more about it than me. You know what I mean? We have touched on it a couple of times with some of the stories, and I think why I kind of like these is sort of Native American tribal stories are not often told. I think it's coming a bit more now, but it's a bit of a rarity. And when I was talking to Cameron about it, it's a belief of the people that to speak of such things is to invoke it, and that's still a deeply rooted belief. So, like transcribing, the tales of warning, so to speak, it's a no-no because it's basically it's the same as casting a spell and bringing a thing upon yourself. But fair enough. There's got to be a way around it without maybe talking about the exact thing, but a similar thing. I just think there's a wealth of stories there, and as the modern world carries on, like I love lore and I love storytelling from all over the world. It would be a shame if it got lost, and it would just be: is there a way to strike a balance? Because there's another entity mentioned in this, and they only said it once, and I didn't catch its name. But there's a whole wealth of storytelling, just even in the North Americas, from the tribal peoples that could get lost. I mean, there's all possibility of it just going forever when it's just oral tradition. The stories we have lost in the British Isles, like during the Dark Ages, pre-Dark Ages, from oral traditions. It's only I don't know, recently or last few years, there's any sort of effort made to try and get past the last 300 years, and go deeper. It's part of life, and if you can preserve story, preserve lore, because that's one thing horror is different from, I think, other genres. We embrace world traditions. We want the tribe at the top of the mountain that's never been discovered, and we want them to tell us their stories just to see what they can come up with. We want, the deepest, darkest jungle, what stories come out of it. It's something about the horror genre that we'll love to hear a foreign take on things, that's not of our own. And I don't just mean from a British perspective. I mean worldly. It is a thing that unites us, that we want to hear each other's stories, and that's another reason why I love the genre. And this is just an example. So I was saying, we see this starting off. We've got Kara. She's ringing her mother. can't get mobile signal. Starts cutting out, and then next thing we know, the truck appears, and it's sort of hidden in the background, and then finally she's been knocked down. So there's been a whole thing going on that this company, WEC, wants to mine on the land, and the tribal council approved it, but then there's consternation because the tribal council didn't consult the people, and it looks like there's a bit of backhanding, people getting paid off, and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of tension. Of course, activists are activists. They're annoying, whatever culture they're in, take things too far. But I think this is God, sorry, I'm tired. Starting to feel it now. 9 movies in. Yeah, so all this is going on, and there's a whole philosophical debate, and this kind of runs throughout the film, but there's also the embracing the modern world. How do you strike a balance? There's one of the kids wanting to play ice hockey and talking about gear, and that's what he's important. He's using the latest technology, but he's also talking about tribal stuff. There's ones that move to the city and they become addicted to substances, so they're varying against the modern world because they feel like it's destroyed them. But then again, an addict always reaches out for something. So their new cause, their new addiction is their culture. So you kind of see that running through as well. They become preach. Like most addicts get converted to their religion, and then they become the most staunch religionist out there because they've traded their one addiction for another. So there's kind of that playing through that story too, you see. But the main thing is we start seeing various individuals who are out doing whatever. It's either a surveyor for WEC, the survey of the land. Next thing you know, they see an eagle fly past and they smell something, and then next thing you know, they're getting ripped to pieces. Usually they're with someone, each time it happens, they're with somebody. So one person smells the thing and sees the thing and is a victim, and the other one isn't, and that's kind of the pattern. So essentially what we find out with this is that a curse has been cast, and it's that entity which I didn't catch the name of. So what they're saying is, with this entity, the mother wanted revenge for the daughter, but by casting her spirit, it wasn't her daughter's spirit, it's the entity of this thing, and it can be directed so many times. It's a bit like the Pumpkinhead movie. If you think of it that way, it's a bit like that. The spell, you can right you wrong, you can say so many names, and that's it'll take its revenge. I think the difference is here that it doesn't have the same impact on the soul. It's not that sort of talk. So it's once again different culture, different rules. So you have a different outlook on things, which once again makes it interesting. Rather than getting the same stuff repeated over and over again. That's what I keep saying about Hollywood remaking and rehashing. There's a wealth of storytelling out there. There's a wealth of sources of storytelling, and if you want to use the words diverse, there's a diverse pool that can be plumbed. All you have to do is get the right creators, treat them well. So if you're going to put a tribal story, be respectful to the tribe, make sure it's a fair deal. It's not hard, is it? Tell a good story. That's not hard either. There's loads of examples of it being done, and you've got it. So you have this all kind of playing out, but you also get an insight into reservation life, but also in Canada, because it's in Canada, you also get a different perspective, because normally these things are done in that silly country to the south of them. So it's interesting to see how they deal with things and how their liaison back and forth. Like they have a liaison with the Canadian the Mounties. So they've got a Mountie on staff, but they've also got a tribal police officer and they've got powers and restrictions, but it's a sort of hand in glove sort of thing. So it's all about just working together. At the same time, it's an isolated community. It's a sort of thing where there's not that much trouble. So when something like this happens, yeah, it's kind of a shock. It was interesting. Couple of bits I had an issue with. The one of the characters, is it Frances? She was a vet in Afghanistan, and when they're doing her sort of flashback scenes, they play this sound of helicopters, not, and the leveling is so off that it actually takes you out of it. It sounds really amateur. And the thing is, this is a well shot film for the most part. The sound's good. Special effects is all right. And there's certain bits that gets really ropey, but for the most part, because it's mystery and it's using like the entity itself, when you see it, isn't great because they kind of messed up a bit when they go from the CGI to the person in the costume. It kind of didn't gel together. And then there's a strange camera angle. It's almost like they're holding a selfie stick. And it's a wee bit jarring to look at. So when they do that, it's basically representing the person being the target of the spell. You sort of get used to it, 3-4 times in, you sort of get used to it, but the first couple of times it's really jarring to look at. I know they're trying to do something different, but I don't know if that worked or not. So just those couple of bits were my issues with the film, which really, on the whole, consider some of the films I've watched and absolutely hated, that's nothing. You can actually gloss over it because the actors are decent. They're playing decent roles. The only one that's really sort of character is Donnie, the antagonist. The person that kicked all this off. He is such a cliche character that there's a big neon sign pointing at you. You did it. People even say it in the synopsis. Who did it? And it was supposed to be the mystery, trying to figure out. But he's the only sort of like walking cliche in this whole thing. All the rest of the characters are pretty decent. You're dealing with grief. You're dealing with like your fake culture person that going to drum circles and that don't actually believe in anything, but they'll wear all the accoutrements. You have a character like that in this, but everyone else, you have a niece and nephew relationship. Doesn't go into how it's a niece and why Stacey's nephew's living with her. Doesn't go into it, but the fact is, it's there. And it's like it's more like an older sister, younger brother sort of thing, but she's still looking out for him. There's all that kind of going on. So you see those characters played out. You see you sort of snapshot into this life, and it's cool. On top of that, you've got the supernatural story that's going on and the mystery of what exactly is happening. And it's about the spell, how the spell's cast and how to spell it. So, how to counter it. And it's done really well in this. It's not overstated. It's not over. There's a potential this could be really hammy and silly, but actually the ground of reality in this and the people dealing with it come at it from a pragmatic matter, as if you would, oh, I'm dealing with a thing that I don't know how to deal with, but I'll have a go anyway. Yeah, so that's all cool. I'll not spoil it too much because it is worth a watch. You kind of go over, but I'm not. We'll kind of see how it's resolved at the end. It's decent. We see that Donnie gets dealt with. We have Andy, the Mountie. He comes into his own too. So this could have easily fallen into, oh, I'm a victim. It's addressed, but at the same time, these are people standing on their own 2 feet, trying to make their way in the world. And dealing with things as normal people deal with what more do you want. So it gives you a look into a snapshot into a different culture, gives you respect for them because they're human beings. They're not just characters running about the place, and not everyone else apart from them is made out to be the bad guy, which happens south of the border. So it's interesting to see it there and how that. So yep, I really enjoyed this. Good movie, worth a watch. And yeah, apart from them one or two niggly bits, well, I've seen worse, and I'll probably see worse today as we crack on. But there we go. There's that one. Next up is, I believe, Heart Condition. Yes. So we're going to see some Bob Hoskins and Denzel Washington. I've been wanting to do this movie for a while. It's an oldie, but let's see if it stands up. Anyway, I'll go on with that, cracked on, and until next time, keep updated with the channel, do the type of tricky things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.